Welcome to a journey of transformation where pain and trauma empowered my own personal transformation. Trauma may change us, but it doesn't have to define us, to define who we are. It can, however, be a catalyst for growth and transformation if we allow it to be. This is what this podcast episode is about. Hello, and welcome back to Unbox the podcast that helps you live your best. As I reflect on the dark period of my life, I can now see how it helped shape who I am as a person today. It also shaped how I work. It taught me that resilience, empathy, and the importance of self-care. You've got to kind of rise up to the surface, have a breath, and then continue on with the struggle. Otherwise, you can't really cope. But the thing is that I've learned is keep moving forward. Do what you can, even if the path is unclear, even if you don't know where you're going, but you feel this inner calling, if you like. I can't do what I want, but I can do this. Keep moving forward because the path does open up. It really forced me also to confront my own demons along the way. And I came out the other side more self-aware. If you asked me, would I have changed anything? Absolutely not. I can really see that every event was a building block to the person that I became. So, if you're going through a very difficult time, I can honestly tell you, and I do want you to know, that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Learning the tarot, for me in a creative way, really showed me this. The journey of the Fool has helped me see that no matter who we are, we all pass through our own unique trials and tribulations. So although it might be similar circumstances, death, loss, sickness, divorce, whatever it is, we each pass through these difficult times. But if you really think about it, it seems like, they're almost designed to bring out the best in you. So although we may undergo similar issues, how we deal with them, how we cope, the decisions we make is what is unique about each and every one of us. Trauma can leave deep scars on the soul, that is true. Trauma may change us in some ways and change our lives, but it doesn't have to define us. It can be a catalyst for growth and transformation if we allow it to be, if we step back, way back, really back, to see the big picture. We can honestly begin to grasp the wisdom of it all. And as we do so, we begin to heal. Distancing yourself from your issue is very important. I remember during the invasion, I really couldn't cope, and there was lots of scuds flying around, and it was really, war was something else, and it was the first time that I've ever experienced that. At night, I just used to visualize floating up, all the way up, and looking down on Earth and seeing a different geographical area and wondering what is it like, how they're living. It just took me out of my immediate circumstance to kind of like see what the big picture. You can do it whichever way you want, but for me, that helped me to gain a different perspective. When you reflect, you might just find out that your darkest time had to have happened. Your difficult moment was necessary to shift a few things around in your life so that you can grow to your fullest potential. At the very least, to plant you where you can grow. Many of us don't see that. Our egos, our personalities make us think that this is personal. Nothing like this has ever happened to anyone else. But it isn't really true. The thing is, what you need to think about is what action can you take under those circumstances. I'm reminded of the quote by Carl Jung, "I am not what happened to me. I am who I choose to become." During the Iraqi invasion, Mom and I spent some time alone at home in Kuwait, while the rest of the family managed to get out to go to Jordan, accompanying my dad, who wanted to really see if the family could move, if he could restart his business there, in an effort to resume our lives, I suppose, as normal as possible. My mum carried on pottering about the house, watering her plants as usual, and they were really important to her. She really created a haven in the middle of the desert. I remember also she used to leave the radio on. She said the plants need to feel good. She called me over one day to help her change the soil of the pots. To tell you the truth, I was really surprised. I truly thought that she was in denial of what was going on. She's trying to carry on as usual, as though this was normal. And I was afraid. I was shocked. I was worried about the family. They left us alone. I wondered if they were safe. In fact, if they ever made it at all. So to ask me to come over and help her water the plants and change the soil seemed like, what are you doing, Mom? I suddenly found myself grabbing her from both shoulders, maybe even shaking her while yelling, "Are you aware of what's going on? Our lives have changed forever. We're in a war, and you're worried about the plants." She looked at me very, very calmly, really calmly, collected. And she simply said, "And how is that the fault of the plants? They still need to be watered." I could only laugh. She was right. I overreacted, and she was absolutely right, doing what she can do under the circumstance. I admired her sense of, between brackets, being in the now, not compounding the trauma, but aiming to live life to the fullest as much as possible under whatever circumstances they may be. She maintained her resolve throughout her life, throughout this crisis, but really, up to the last minute of her life, she lived her life to the fullest. I caught her once talking to the washing machine. Yes, the washing machine. I was on my way to the kitchen, passed through the laundry room, and on my way I saw Mum sitting on a stool facing the washing machine and speaking to it calmly, as if she was casting a spell. She said, "Look here now. We're under siege. There's no transport. There are no spare parts, no repairmen, and no way of fixing you. But please, you've got to work because we need to do the laundry. We need clean clothes. You're going to work now." And very calmly and assuredly, she switched the machine on, and lo and behold, it suddenly started. One of the first courses I attended upon arriving in London, at the recommendation of my former teacher and mentor Marin Jose, was the Silva method. We learned several techniques about getting the brain into a certain wavelength where you can solve problems, perceive issues, find solutions. Basically, you visualize 3 screens in your mind. The left is the problem, the middle is the issue being resolved, and the last frame is the solution, or after you've resolved it, how's the situation, how did it become? I called my mum and I told her I had to pay money to learn what you did with the washing machine. I think she just did that intuitively. And she also had that belief that nothing was personal. This is life. Life is up and down. Life is a lot of changes. On another occasion, when I was staying at my aunt's flat in London, a British telecom guy came to install the internet connection. He was looking for the main line where it comes into the flat. He searched for hours and he wouldn't listen to my suggestion. I tuned in, perhaps I used the Silva method technique, and intuitively felt that the line came in at this certain location, particular spot. I told him to look there, but he continued to ignore me, shrugging off my suggestions. Finally, he had no other choice. He was getting tired and bored, I think, of looking for this spot where the line came in. Reluctantly, he did what I suggested, which is to take the skirting board off And voila, lo and behold, the line was there. When you're going through a difficult time, know that understanding comes in hindsight. Try not to analyze, but rather observe what's happening as though you're looking at a painting or watching a movie. Try and see what the theme is. How does this fit in the narrative? Then that particular issue or time of your life will begin to make sense. Acknowledge what you wish for. In my heart of heart, amidst this trauma, all I could think about was leaving and going to London. Why? I had no idea, but it was such a persistent thought. So my suggestion is that you acknowledge deep down what you feel, not from the ego, not kind of revenge or anger, but truly, if anything was possible, what is it? What is it that you yearn for? Understanding comes later. But right now, in the middle of a crisis, what's important is you taking a step and connecting truthfully with your inner thoughts and inner feelings. This is what helps you to come out of the tunnel and eventually see the light. After 3 or 4 years of moving to London, after the invasion, a couple of my friends came to visit. They both encouraged me to join them on a trip to Spain and Morocco. My joining them wasn't really certain because my circumstances were not certain. I had yet no residency in England, and it was doubtful if I would leave whether I would be allowed to come back in. I had applied to stay, but the whole thing was really risky. My old friend Rana, whom I've known since we were 10 years old, came to the embassy with me. And my old new friend, Baria, stayed behind to pack our suitcases. They were just kind of getting ready for whatever scenario that was going to happen. To my delight, I was issued the visa to Spain, and we called Baria to tell her, hey, the visa is out, but she was already on her way in a taxi to meet us, and we went directly to the airport. This was a big deal for me, because I wasn't allowed to go anywhere, otherwise I'd lose the grounds of why I was staying in England. It was a big deal. I always had this thing for Andalusia, to see the land, the landscape, to see the architecture. My friend had studied architecture. We were all delighted to see the works of Gaudi. I think it's really important to do something that you love because it does nurture the soul. I think all of us were ardent fans of Picasso. At the time, I was learning to do ceramics, and I found out that Picasso did ceramics too. So this was something that we all enjoyed, and it meant a big deal that we could share it together and experience it together on this trip. To commemorate the event or the occasion, I bought a scarf in Spain, and the scarf had a quotation by Picasso saying something to the effect of, in art, to search is not the thing, to find is the thing. And this was about, 30 years ago, but it made an impact on me. So it's not the analysis. And again, I remember an old Chinese proverb that says, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but nowhere to go. What you want is to have the right action in the right direction towards the solution or towards where you want to go. I want to read you this quotation from Picasso. I searched and recently I found it. It was part of an article that was published in New York in 1924. Of course, he's talking about his artistic creation process. He said, I can hardly understand the importance given to the word research in connection with modern painting. In my opinion, to research means nothing in painting. To find is the thing. Nobody is interested in following a man who, with his own eyes are fixed on the ground, spends life looking for the purse and the fortune that is put on his path. The one who finds something, no matter what it might be, even if this intention were not to search for it, at least arouses our curiosity, if not our admiration. Amongst the several sins that I have been accused of, Picasso says, none is more false than that I have as the principal objective of my work the spirit of research. When I paint, my object is to show what I have found and not what I'm looking for. In art, intentions are not sufficient. I would say in life, Picasso as well. As we say in Spanish, love must be proved by deeds and not by reasons. What one does is what counts, and not what one had the intention of doing. I mean, isn't that great? Isn't that inspirational? I really love art, the process of creating something, the way that the brain perceives dimensions, space, what colors go with what color. There is so much that you can learn from art, so much so that I often tell my clients, every person is like a blank canvas. Let them show you their true color. And when they do, you either accept that painting or you walk away. That way, you don't cause yourself unnecessary trauma. I hope this podcast episode has helped you realize that our love for life, to be alive, to live our best lives, and passion for what we truly desire make us stronger. They help us overcome any seemingly unjust struggle we might be going through at any time in our lives. Again, traumas do not define who we are, but our actions do. Your darkest moment can be your greatest source of strength. I look forward to you joining me next Tuesday for more inspiring episodes of Unbox the podcast, where we continue with the journey of overcoming life's challenges and developing resilience. Please remember to subscribe and share this podcast episode. Till next week, live your best life one day at a time. This is Sahar Palmer wishing you a great week.